This is such a big change to the Cub Scouting program that it's important that we thought we try to do this to help you prepare. Because the program is all about the kids. It's not whether I agree with it or you agree with it. This is a program, and it's about the kids and how do we make sure that it's a good program for the kids. So we want to kind of go over a little bit what this change is all about. My computer died. What we want to do, I'm going to cover the background. It's not going to be a deep, in-depth background because that's not important. It is what it is, but you need to understand why Boy Scouts of America decided to make this change. Okay, it's changed over the years. Some of us remember the Lion Cubs and Tiger Never Existed and all those things. So we've seen the program change over the years, but always national hopes for the best. That's what it's for. It's not because they just want change. It's they think the program needs changing so it's meaningful to the kids. Okay, this happens to be the Cub Scout Promise as it's changed from 1930 all the way up to what's going to start the 1st of May? The Boy Scout Oath. The Cub Scout Oath goes away. So that's kind of where it comes from. It's changed over the years, but it's going to the Boy Scout Oath as of the 1st of May. And there was heartburn over that. We'll discuss that in a few minutes. Okay, what they looked at was, what they were worried about was the old Cub Scout program they felt was the dens were too passive. It wasn't active enough to keep the kids active. So they said, wait a second, let's take a look at the program. Why is it so passive? What do we need to do to change and make it active? How many remember the last change we had? They went from, remember we used to have 3 meetings a month and then a PAC meeting? And then they kind of went back to say, let's kind of have 2 meetings a month and a PAC meeting, but those 2 meetings will be working on nothing but advancement. Well, that worked great, but it's kind of like standards of learning. What are we teaching? They kind of looked at that to try to figure out what are we actually teaching. Okay, and this wasn't done by one person. There were 75 volunteers just like us around the country that they brought together to look at changing the program. It wasn't just, quote, professional scouters, and I'm going to pick on one because Amanda's here. She's a professional scouter. That's what she does for a living. They don't rely on the professionals to make the changes. They go to the volunteers first. The professionals make the final decision, but they get the input from the leaders to say, what do you want to see in the program? What can we do to make it better? How many of you have gotten emails about a survey from Boy Scouts? There's a reason for that. They want your input so they know what's going on with the program and what do they need to do to make it a better program. Because what is our problem today with Scouts? What are we competing against? Everything. I went and did a school night in September, and I'm walking in, and here's Tiger Cub age kids I want to recruit going out in football uniforms. Years ago, there was not a sports program for that young of age, so we've got a lot more competition. Just so you know, in the last 3 years, Colonial Virginia Council is down 1,500 scouts from what we were 3 years ago. For many reasons. So we're getting smaller in size, but it's still about the program. So we want to make sure what's going on with the program. Okay. They looked at many things. Like I said, they wanted to get more active behavior. And they felt the Leader's Guide. How many remembers the Leader's Guide? It was one book. And how much did that help you? How many had that Leader's Guide? How many used it? Okay. They didn't feel that was sufficient to help the den leader do their job. And so there's now a new one for each position. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, remember we went back when we changed the program the last time we went to the 12 character connections? Remember those? How well did that work? Most PACs had a hard time relating the program to the character connection. Guess what? We still got 12 character connections. You know what they are? Scout law. Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, brave, clean, thrifty, and reverent. They are still there. It's not going to be as hard to tie it as the old program was. They've just changed what they're using. Now, what else does that help these boys prepare for? Boy Scouts. Okay? You're going to see some changes in there about citizenship, personal fitness. How many of our kids still come home and get on the boxes, the electronics? If they're not in sports, are they outside playing like some of us did when we were kids? There's some areas where they're not. And that's what they want. One thing they want to do is try to work with that. So I got a question for you. What is the purpose of the Boy Scouting, the Cub Scouting? Get them through 5 years and get their arrow of light? The purpose of Boy Scouting is citizenship development. Anybody remember what else it is? Physical fitness. Nothing about arrow of light, nothing about Eagle Scout. These are just methods to get the kids there. The whole purpose is to develop good citizens for tomorrow. It's great to get there. How many have heard that thing, my kid's not getting his driver's license until he gets his Eagle? Is he going to learn anything from that incentive, or is he just going to get it so he can get his driver's license and go do things? This is a development program to help our kids develop, and that's what it's about, is we want to help them develop into citizens tomorrow. And I'm going to mention my son once in a while, too, because he's my poster child, and I'll explain why. Okay. This is what they wanted to get to, the design objectives. They wanted more den-based advancement, which they didn't think they had. It was kind of a complex system when you had the rank and the arrow points and the belt loops and the beads and everything. They felt it was too complex to actually get the program across, so they looked at all that. They wanted more fun and action, more purposeful alignment, mission of aims, so they looked at the whole program design. Okay, we know the Scout Oath and Law are coming in. How many have problems with that? Do you think a tiger cub's going to have a heart? Excuse me, a tiger. Tiger cub is going away. Let me get used to that myself. Tiger cub is going away. They're going to become a tiger scout. Okay? How many have a problem thinking a tiger scout is going to memorize the Scout Oath and Law? The requirement does not say memorize. It said be able to say it with some help. Okay? So just look at those requirements. They're not saying it has to be memorized. They say it has to be able to recite it, maybe talk about it with some help. Because I know Boy Scouts that would come in and could not get the Scout Oath and Law down right away. It's only by repetition that they learn it. Okay. One of the big changes they've gone to, remember we had, what they're going to is every rank is going to have 6 adventures. Does that sound more active than what we had before? We're going to go on an adventure. And each adventure has a series of requirements that have to be met for them to complete that. Now, how many months are there in the scouting year, roughly? If you don't count the summer months.
9.
9. 6 adventures, and I got 9 months. What am I going to do with my kids? Arrow points are gone.
Electives.
Activity badges.
Activity badges are gone.
Electives.
There's electives out there that you can do for every rank. Okay? But each one of these adventures has requirements. It could be 3 requirements, could be 4 requirements, could be 5 requirements. So there's still something there. The idea is, though, to complete an an adventure every month. That is what the goal is if you can. Okay? Is that really any different than what you were doing with den meetings before? You were still working on advancement, and weren't you trying to complete requirements within the wolf, bear, tiger, or Weeblo's book? I mean, you were still working at that. Okay? Also, they've included the duty to God in every rank now. Okay. The adventures now are going to be belt loops. If you haven't seen the pictures, they're going to be belt loops. Every elective is going to be a belt loop. Boy, you get an active scout, there ain't a belt big enough for this kid to put all these on. I mean, if you look how many electives there are with each rank, there's a lot. If you have a very active one that's working with mom and dad, because this is still a family-based program, right? If they're working with mom and dad at home and completing all these, Belt's not going to be big enough, especially because it's a short little guy and his waist is about a third of mine. You know, those belts are only so long. The only thing is, one thing for you all to know is the new belt loops are cheaper than the old sports and academic belt loops. They're about 20 to 25 cents cheaper than what the other ones were. So the cost is coming down. Now, that's all belt loops. Arrow points are going away. How many moms love to sew on those arrow points, or dads? Especially with the active kids, you know, they went down below their belts because they had so many arrow points. Okay? You're not going to be buying those anymore. Everything is going to be the loops and then the badge of rank. No more early recognition. The beads and stuff like that. Remember the Tiger one with the beads? That's gone. It's all based on these electives and adventures now.
Their uniforms are going to be so empty.
Well, if you're active, you always have the temporary patches that the kids seem to get and things like that. So hopefully, one thing it's going to do is hopefully reduce the cost of scouting for the units a little bit too, because you're not going to be spending as much on everything else. Now, you're still going to have the Journey to Excellence. If you complete that, the unit still has to buy those pins, those patches, those type of things. Those things are still out there. The National Summertime Pack Award is still going to be there. Anything extra like that, those are still expenses. Yes, sir?
So the boys who earn like the belt loops and the arrow points, they have them now. When this goes into, do they have to take those off?
I'm not saying go out and strip the uniform. The kids earn that. This is also about the kids. Let them be proud of what they have.
Okay.
Let them wear that. There's nothing that says right now they got to take it off the uniform. I'm not for that at all. Let the kids be proud of what they earned. But whoever was sewing that on, if you tell them they don't have to sew any more on, may get a big smile and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Or you're not taking it to a tailor to sew them on because nobody at home sews. Plus, with these new shirts, it's hard to sew some of this stuff on because you can't get behind the pockets and stuff. So that's how that's changing. Now, let me see before I forget. Okay. And I apologize. My computer's dying. Tiger, wolf, bear, belt loops, Weeblos, pins. The Weeblos colors are still going to be there. They can wear these new pins on the Weeblos colors. Remember a few years ago when they were going to do away with the Weeblos colors? Anybody remember that? National got such an outcry from the volunteers that they had to back up and say, oh, I don't think we better do that. They were about ready to have a revolt on their hand because the Weeblos wearing the colors, that was there. So now the pins, or they can wear them on their hats.
Say on the collars?
No, on the colors.
Okay.
They have the three colors, and they used to have, you're in certain ones went on the blue, certain ones went on the white, certain ones, okay? So now they're going to have the pins instead of belt loops for the Weeblos.
So they won't same for the Weeblos.
That's what they're saying. Now, if they have the belt loops available, National, last I heard, was thinking about whether they wanted to make an option. You can have belt loops and or pins, but they went with the pins. I don't know if they're going to have the belt loops available or not.
The academic and sports
Are gone. Is gone. Yep, that is
It's
gone.
still going to be the pins. It's just going to be different pins.
Different pins.
Okay.
You'll have one for each adventure, and then you'll have a different one for each elective that you earn along the way. It's supposed to be pins all the way through for Weeblos.
I mean, in general, it used to be if you get a belt loop, you did 10 extra things, so pins are out too.
Pins are out too. It'll be the belt loops for everything. They say it's built into the program. They have built it into the program to replace all those sports and academics. The only thing we haven't found is anything to do with archery or BBs. Pete isn't here. We haven't found that anywhere that there's any type of belt loop for that.
Because these different adventures within each rank are the belt loops.
Yes.
So instead of getting little beads or
Yes.
things like that, they get the belt loops. So the belt loops are directly related to their rank advancement rather than something in the periphery.
And the other thing is, I've got copies here, and this is from National. As of May the 1st, you will not need an advancement report to buy those belt loops. And here's a copy of that letter. You could just go in and buy these belt loops without an advancement report. What you will need an advancement report for will be the rank advancement for tiger, wolf, bear, or whatever. But for the belt loop, just pass these around. And this is from National. They've made that decision to where you will not need an advancement report to get the belt loops. There is only one problem with that, in that how does a council scout shop decide how many they need in? Because how many packs think are going to go build up a supply so they can do instant recognition as they earn them? So they're going to have to, whether it's Tidewater or whether it's Colonial Virginia or Heart of Virginia, the inventory for this is going to be a thing to figure out at first, is how many do I get in, that type of thing. So that's just a big change where less paperwork for you. But what that also tells me is that when you had to do it before in ScoutNet, which is the official database for scouting, all these things went in, which tells me these belt loops are not going to go into ScoutNet showing that the kids have earned them.
Oh, I have one. Thank you.
Okay.
That surprises me because, I mean, that's.
Well, the key is about the rank. It's not about, the belt loops are just a method to get there.
So it's like the beads. We don't record the beads.
No, didn't record the beads.
Okay.
So that's the change that we want you to understand, is you're not going to need an advancement report anymore for these. But can I make a suggestion? No matter which council shop you go to, you might want to call them before you go to see if they have them in stock so you don't waste a trip. Just in case they get a rush, there's no sense in you going down there ahead of time and all of a sudden, well, I'm sorry, I only got, but that they could say I got 20 here, and by the time you get there, there could be 0 if somebody walks in. But if you're close by the scout shop, it's not a problem. Now, how many of you from Colonial Virginia Council have been going to Tidewater Council to get supplies? Okay. Well, for you, especially, you're from the south side, so it's easier for you probably to go over to Virginia Beach to get yours, right?
We're good at time.
I'll stop by every now and then.
Make sure.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is we look at becoming a national scout shop, which means it's employed, they're national employees. They would not take anything for events in there. They would only sell material. We did not have enough space in order to become a national scout shop. You require certain requirements, and we did not fall within that category. The thing you need to know about the scout shop, too, is when we make orders, it's called net 30, which means we have to pay for that within 30 days. Now, all of you that work budgets, you know what impact that can have, right, if you don't sell the stuff? And that makes it a little difficult. And we're not going to lie, you know, we've had some financial work here. Well, now, our scout executive, Scott Rayroller, just came in. And we're not going to go there, but he's been working hard to get back to that because we were having a hard time getting stuff in because we had no way to pay for it within 30 days. He's worked hard to get that changed. You can still order, and they will order it for you and pay up front. And if you do it through any scout shop, you don't pay for shipping. If you go out online and order it, you've got to pay for the shipping to come to your house. Your call. Just think about those type of things for things you need. And you can go to any of the council. Heart of Virginia will go over there if their scout shop has it. I've called them, and they've sent me Den Chief handbooks because we were short, and they mailed them to me. And I paid for them. I mean, we work well together to put on the program. So
if you don't require an advancement report for these, as a pack, you can really stock up.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep them in a little fishing tackle box.
Yep.
Do you have a calculation how much you'll buy ahead?
That depends on what your budget. What is a pack budgeted for? How much can they afford? Or somebody is a donor and say, I'll buy the first 100 for you, and they pay for it, and you've got it for the pack. Those things happen.
Are the belt loops aligned against the individual programs?
Yes.
So if you know you got 4 Wolf Scouts.
Yes, you're gonna, and you know you're gonna have 6 adventures. You're probably gonna need 20. You know, you're gonna need 4 of each one of those.
Okay.
Yes. Now, electives is a different thing. You know, the den leader may decide there's a whole bunch of electives. Which electives do I want to work on? That's a different thing on how much you can stock up there. Because one den leader can say, hey, man, I love this, I'm going to do this. And the other den leader says, man, I'm not good at that, I don't want to do that, I want to do these. So it'll be a little bit harder of the programming side on how to do the electives.
So the den leader knows what he's going to be doing a couple months ahead of time.
How many here are den leaders? How far ahead do you plan?
Every week.
So 4 months from now, you know what elective you're going to work. You see, my point is, that planning situation is you really don't know how you're going to get there, but at some point when you've got a quiet minute, all of us sit down and say, man, I got a den meeting tomorrow morning. What am I going to do?
At least you're honest.
That's what it is because we're all so busy. We do try to plan ahead, but, life gets in the way sometimes. In scouting, family's still number one. Okay? Most important thing. So, but the key about it is plan ahead where you can because you've got to lay that out because if you come and you have nothing planned for those kids are going to find something to do. And it may not be what you want them to do. So you need to do that. Now, what I want to do real quick too is in all these new books, if you haven't seen the Den Leader Guides yet, okay, they have all the den meetings planned out.
The den leader guides?
They have all the den meetings planned out so that you do not have to go down, get a den meeting plan, and write it out yourself. Doesn't mean you can't tweak it. This is just a guide.
Dennis, that's a sale item in the Scout Shop?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
This is a sale item.
So it's not on the website.
No.
Nobody has counterfeited it yet, if that's what you're asking. I know the old ones made their way through the website. But that's
And
in the
I'm going to
store.
be honest with you. You give about 3 months, you'll probably find PDF versions out there
Yeah.
somewhere. Somebody copied them and putting them out there free. Just be advised, that's copyright infringement. And Boy Scouts of America could technically go after anybody that goes after copyright infringement. Okay? The other thing is, this is good. There's one for each den. Basically tiger, wolf, bear, and weeblo. So all of them are laid out there for you. So you don't have to go back and recreate them. What does that do for the den leader? For those of us in the old program, we had to fill out our den meeting program for every den meeting and what we wanted to do to accomplish. Now everything is here. It does make it a lot easier for you. So hopefully that will help for us with our busy schedules. And that includes, that has all the adventures and all the electives. So you've got everything right in this book for you to run your program. Now think about it. Do we have any cup masters or any committee chairs here? What do you think if you signed up a new den leader and say, hey, thank you for being new den leader. Guess what? I've got your program right here. Yes, sir.
You said it has all the adventures and electives. Are there extra electives specific to each
Yes.
rank, or is it just a giant pool for all?
Separate electives for every rank.
Just like it used to be.
Weeblos is one.
Yes.
But there's tiger electives, wolf electives,
Yes.
bear electives.
Just, if you think about it, that's what it was in the old books too. You had separate ones for the wolves, separate ones for the bears. This hasn't changed any. They've just changed what they're doing.
And families can work on electives at home also.
That part has not changed. It's still a family-based, Cub Scouting is still family-based.
I didn't hear the question.
Is it still, can families still work on them at home? Yes,
Oh.
it's still a family-based thing. The biggest thing we've got to look at though, is implementing in this program is when we run Cub day camps or things like that, not to run the adventures at the Cub day camp because what does that do to the den leader? Could take away from you, so you may want to look at the elective side for these type of events for Cub day camp. Cubberies or something. Maybe you want to look at the elective side so we don't take away from the dens. Yes, ma'am.
You're doing day camp this year. Now, what happens if we do soccer for everyone, but it's only get a group for tigers?
How are you going to recognize the others?
Right.
They had fun.
Okay.
One of the things we talked about, because we said we don't see anything for archery or BB, we've talked within the Colonial Virginia Council that maybe we can do something to where if they're held, we can have a generic patch or something to give to the kids. Because that's still what kids want to do. They want to shoot that BB gun and they want to shoot that bow and arrow. So we're talking internally whether we can come up with something to make available, because that's still important to me and a lot of people. It's an important part of the program. So we're going to talk internally to see if some volunteers can make that happen. Okay? Now, like I said, Tiger Cub's going away. Well, the thing about it is, this picture, that's what the tiger looked like when they first came out before they were Tiger Cubs. That was the picture of the tiger many years ago. For those of us that have been around 2 or 3 times, I'm looking at Marie because she's up here, and we've been through the program 2 or 3 times. Okay, now, the other big change you need to know is for Weeblos. If you have Weeblos 1 going to Weeblos 2 this year, they can stay with the old program, or they can go to the new program. Weeblos 2 have that option. Okay? The other thing that's changing as of May the 1st, if you have a boy joins Cub Scouts and he's Weeblos 2, he will not have to earn the Weeblos badge to earn the Arrow of Light.
Under the old program.
In the new program. In the new program, the boy does not have to have the Weeblos badge to earn the Arrow of Light.
So the den leader has to run the old program and the new one for Weeblos 2s.
If you're running Weeblos 2, 99% of the time, if he's in Weeblos 2, he's got the Weeblos badge after his first year. Most Weeblos 1s are earning that Weeblos badge the first year, right?
But what if you do recruit a new 5th grader?
Then if you recruit a new, he's got to start the new program.
So again, the
So you're
instructor
getting-
has to do the old Arrow of Light program and the new Arrow of Light.
Possibly, if you get a new.
That's-
How many are really getting kids in the 5th grade joining packs on a regular basis, though? This is a one-time, one-year thing that we got to work our way through. It's going to be a little challenging. It will be a little challenging. Yes, sir.
He already said.
If they already have their Wheelo badge, can they just do the new Arrow of Light?
Yes, they'll have to do the 4 adventures and the elective, because there's only 4 adventures for Arrow of Light.
So the new and old Wheelo 2s can all work on the same new Arrow of Light, even if they are in the old
Right.
Wheelo badge.
What you have to be careful of, if they're working under the old program, you can use some of the old program for the new electives if they're the same. Read it real closely. There's a way that can happen. I can look it up here. I haven't had time to get in depth on everything. Because what I've talked, most Weeble den leaders I talk to want to go to the new program. But you have the option. And after this year, it won't be a difference because your Weeble ones are starting the new program. Okay? Now, somebody asks the question, is there any requirement in there to visit a troop and go on a camp out for Weebles? Yes, it's still in there, folks. It's still in there. That part is not going away because what is Weeblos designed to do? Help prepare them for Boy Scouts.
Has Weeblos changed drastically for their requirements and the things that they?
If you take the time to look through a book, you're not going to recognize. You may see some similarities between the adventures and electives of the old program, but they're not the same. They are more active. You take a look at requirements for one of the adventures. It's go, it's do, it's see. Kind of like the old Tiger Cub. It's trying to get them active and out of the meeting room. Okay. There is also the cyber chip is going to have to be earned for every rank, specific to that rank.
I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of it.
That's about online and email and everything.
Proper etiquette.
Proper etiquette to protect our kids. That's the reason they're doing it.
Not really a question about that, because the boys about say now that after May 1st, they have to wait until after we have our family in order to do the cyber chip. Can they do it now? Because my son tried doing his, and he went all of it. But when he came down to the birth certificate, it showed a blank page.
Oh, you're talking about online?
The cyber chip.
Okay. The only thing I can tell you about that is you're going to have to call the National Volunteer Help Desk. That's controlled through them. We can't, from the council level, go in and fix it, and I can give you that number. If you hang on just a second. And the Volunteer Help Desk normally tries to get back to you as fast as they can. Boy, what would we do without our smartphones? Okay, that Volunteer Help Desk is 972-580-5555. 2267. You have any problem with online training, any of that, My Scouting, call that number and they will try to work with you to solve your problems. Because if you call the scout office, they're going to go, we have no access to help you. Not that they don't want to, it's just that they don't have the capability to go in and help you solve this. We had a problem about 2 years ago where everybody was taking Safe Swim Defense and Safety Afloat. Nothing would print. Nada. So we had to get with the National to fix it so that we could get there. So keep that in mind if you've got anything with your online systems, to give them a call.
Who else required to do the cyber chip?
Pardon?
Who else required to do the cyber chip?
Every rank.
Every rank.
Every rank is what they had said. Let's see here. Well, that's Bobcat. That hasn't changed any. The other thing is, let me flip over here.
This has to be done, obviously, on their home computer. Is that the presumption?
That's a presumption. It's done with parents because in the front of every handbook still, that has to be done with every rank, is a youth protection. Every rank. So if they've done it with Wolf, guess what? The parents need to sit down, look through that, look for the bear, and that portion of their handbook has to be done with every rank. That's one of the requirements. Not one time, it's done with every rank. That's correct. Because no matter what rank you join, the first thing you got to get is Bobcat. And Bobcat is one of the requirements for Weeblos and Wolves and like that. They have to have it. So,
Wait, I thought a Bobcat requirement, you have to get your Bobcat no matter when you join.
That's correct.
Rank, but you don't redo a Bobcat
no,
requirement.
you don't, but you've got to have it for a rank when you join.
So you still just do it.
Do it one time.
Just hit.
Correct. And I'm sorry if I confused you on that. You still only do it one time.
Youth protection training is done.
Yeah, youth protection is part of Bobcat, but they have to do it.
Yeah, what it does, like here for the Weeblos badge requirement, it says, requirement 4, with your parent or guardian, complete the exercises in the pamphlet, How to Protect Your Children from Child Abuse, a parent's guide, and earn the Cyber Chip Award for your age. So it's written in the requirements for the Cyber Chip. Okay?
And what about children who don't have a home computer? What's the option?
Asterisk. If your family does not have internet access at home and you do not have ready internet access at school or another public place or via mobile device, the cyber chip portion of this requirement may be waived by your parent or guardian. Okay? They put an exception in there. It may be waived. Do you want that to become a standard, though? You don't want that to become a standard for waiving if you can. Okay? How many of your kids, just out of curiosity, how many can raise a hand where you may have a kid who has no internet access right now? Pardon? Okay. Out in our area, we get out near Franklin and Emporia, they still have dial-up. And if anybody tried taking online training or anything on dial-up computers, it is very hard to do. But most libraries you can go in and get on computers. It doesn't mean your den can't set up a time maybe to go to the local library and sit down with the parents and that and go through these things. Some, yeah, like I said, some school libraries will, so there's some options for you to work with the kids, okay?
Hey, Dennis, both the stores I have, Computer Concepts here in Yorktown, one of them in Williamsburg, we'll set up a time for you to come in, set the computer set up and training. I mean, we teach the computer Ameritas, and we used to teach the computer belt loops and things. My son's an Eagle Scout. I keep telling him he's got to do that to hang on. And when he isn't there, I get roped in. But yeah, we've done that for about 7 years now.
Yep.
Those stores.
So, you're from Tidewater, check down there. There may be somebody down there that's doing the same thing. You just need to find that source where you may be able to go. But in most cases, too, if you get to the local library and talk to them, they're more than happy to help you with the kids and do these things. So, okay, like I said, all those nice things on the left are gone. No more? And there's an example. Now, these are a little bit narrower than the old academic belt loops, and they're a little bit taller. But like I said, you get an active kid, the belt's not going to be big enough. Okay, these are the desired outcomes out of this whole program. That part hasn't changed, other than they're worried about our kids being active. How many of your kids currently have, well, one thing I like about it, since I leave at dark 30 to go to work, I know where the kids are waiting for the buses now. Because I see little lights where they're standing on the corner. Their phones. 6 o'clock in the morning, I can see where the kids are at on the bus route in the wintertime because they got their phones out at 6 in the morning. Now, Cub Scout age, how many of your Cub Scouts have cell phones? More than what some realize. Some units have more than others. And that is why they kind of put the cyber chip in there, is to make sure these kids are safe, they understand. You know, what we say sometimes is forgotten, but what goes on social media stays on social media forever. So it's one of those things that we make sure the kids understand this to make sure it's a safe world for them. Okay?
So our kids don't have it. Do you recommend that they get it after we start the new program, since it's one of the new program requirements?
Well, I don't think it'll be recognized till after, but, you know, it started when?
June 1st. Is that what you said? Yeah. Okay. So anytime after June 1st.
I'd wait till after June 1st. That way, if there's anything with national or like that, it's all synced up, I hope. Because remember, any of these changes require a computer change at national to recognize a lot of this stuff too.
Is that program, is it all iPad friendly? Because I know that my scouting site, I can't take training on iPad.
That's a good question. I don't know if, I hadn't heard anybody was having a problem with the iPad.
If you have an Apple product, you won't be able to use it because the website Apple doesn't support Flash.
Okay, that's what it is. It doesn't support the Flash which they use. Any Apple product.
Apple products don't support Flash.
For the online training.
Flash to do the online training.
Yep.
Stuff that's up there right now.
They do now?
Just iPad or the iPhones won't.
I have a desktop Mac, and I've done Mac and I've done
Yeah, iPad.
And I'm not an Apple user, so I'm going to relate to those that know for sure.
The OS X that is on phones and the iPad is different than Yosemite if you run even average Yosemite. So there's more capabilities there.
Now,
They're continuing to upgrade the iPad, the new iPad, and I don't think it's still as
Apple's been very, very
they
steadfast in not supporting Flash.
that's it. Hey, I'm the Apple Repair Center for Linux.
do I have anybody here from an LDS unit? Latter-day Saint. Their implementation requirements are a little bit different, and I've got a copy of the letter here, just in case there is. Because remember, for them, it's based on age, not on grade like we do. They run the program a little bit different, so their requirements, if any of you going back to talk, it's a little bit different for LDS. And if you go out to www.scouting.org/program updates, this briefing is out there, this letter's out there. So if anybody has it, they can go out and get this information. Because LDS has got just a little bit different implementation they've got to go by. So I want to make sure if there's anybody here, we covered that. Now, the other thing that's out there is all the PAC meetings for 2015 and 2016 are out on the website. The PAC meeting plan. You can go out and get your PAC meeting plan for September right now. I have copies here if anybody wants one. But all the PAC meeting plans are out there right now. So if you're doing your planning for the next year, you can go out and see what National's got for you and what you want to do. So that's already available. I have to say this about National. With this new program, they've done a very good job of trying to keep the volunteers in the loop, what's going on, and what's coming.
Is there a version, like a book version of the PAC meeting?
No, each one of those is a separate PDF. You can't get a zip file and get them all. You got to download one at a time.
Like from the Scout store to actually purchase them?
No.
Okay.
These are all online right now. So they are available for you to start looking ahead for your program for next year so that you can start seeing what the PAC meeting is calling for. Because if you're doing planning, is don't sometimes the den have to prepare for the PAC meeting because they got something to do with that theme? Well, this will help you start planning on that, especially if you're working on electives. How does that elective fit in with the PAC meeting? You know, it might help you do with all that planning to get there.
Do you have a recommendation on the frequency of meetings? I know you said it used to be 2 den meetings and 1 PAC.
Me, personally, I love meeting every week.
I do too.
Because it keeps the kids active, it keeps them in the program, it keeps them going, plus it keeps them on a routine and a schedule.
I thought I read the program was working out so that you had 2 den meetings to work on your venture, and then an outing that you would do with your den,
Right.
and then the PAC meeting. And
But if you think about it, the outing is nothing more than a den meeting, it's just so you're going somewhere.
Yes.
And if you look at the new requirements, they have that built in there, so what some of those requirements for the adventures are go see, go do.
Right. And to add to that, at the PAC meeting, that's the opportunity for, I believe, that a den may need to teach something so that you can teach that to other dens or do your skit or whatever is a requirement.
Well, when I was Cub Master, every den had a table at the PAC meeting. And what they worked on that month was on that table. So parents could come in and see what the kids did. Parents from other dens came in and could see what the other ones did, because all it does is build enthusiasm and say, gee, I never thought about that. And I always would do that where I had a table so that they could show off to their parents what they did. Because you're going to have some parents that know what their kids are doing because they're busy at home, and you're going to have some parents that are going to be surprised what their kids doing when they come to the PAC meeting.
What's an example of the things that you would display?
Oh, if they build, one of the things is they've got to build a birdhouse out of egg carton or something like that. You do it at a den meeting, it's at the PAC meeting showing the kids birdhouse. Yes, sir.
I just had a question about the, you said all the den meetings are all set up and everything.
Yes.
Is that set up for 3 den meetings and a PAC meeting a month?
At 2, I think, is what.
I think it's set up for 2. because
Two
it's
an outing,
designed-
and
Okay.
that's what I recall reading.
Let's see, meeting 1, meeting 2, meeting 3. No, they got 3 meetings.
Is one of those meetings an outing?
This one says,
For some electives and not for others.
right,
Uh-huh.
den meeting out, den outing. So some actually can lay out the outing for you as well too, depending on which one you're working on.
Months with 5 weeks, 5 meeting days, and
That, you know, that comes back to the den leader.
I was just wondering because I know that some people in my back are saying, "Oh, well, we want to move the PAC meeting to a different day than our den meetings, so we can have a den meeting each week
In that
and
same
a separate
week.
PAC meeting."
Wow.
You know, and I was just trying to
That's
figure out how it
ambitious.
lined up with this program that's set up. You know,
Well, that's going to come down to you working with the PAC committee and figuring the Cub Master and how this works and what you're going to do. Because maybe that extra week you work on an elective, one of the requirements for one of the electives. I mean, you've got to figure out what works best for you. I know some places where the den leader just say, I'm not going to meet this week, we'll meet in 2 weeks. Is that wrong?
It's unfair.
I'm just saying, you've got to figure out what works best for you to make sure that program works. Because remember, the more time off in between meetings, the less chance these kids may be coming back. And that's why we're always concerned about summertime, and that's why the Summertime PAC Award came along, was we have known units that really didn't do anything all summer, and come September, nobody shows up. Because they haven't stayed active with scouting during the summer. So it doesn't mean that you can't be working maybe some of the electives during the summer with these kids as some of your activities.
So
When
we
you-
can work on electives before they actually start the adventures.
Well, nothing says you can't.
Cool. Okay.
Nothing says you can't.
And one more question. You said that there's 6 adventures, so that's approximately 6 months, and then is that presume that electives is what you're going to work on the
Yes.
rest of the program year?
Yes. The thing about it is, some of those, if you take a look at all the boys, are not going to finish all those requirements in that month, possibly. So it's possible you could have 4 out of 5 boys completing an adventure that month, but now, as you're doing your planning, I got 4 boys that completed, but I got this 5th boy. How do I include him, even though I'm moving on to the new adventure? It becomes a planning issue on how do you help these boys proceed along in their advancement. Yes,
you
sir.
said that a kilo was still the parents, though, right? So if they miss a den meeting, the parents can sign for that requirement at home, right?
It's still family based. Yes, it is. The key that with busy parents is My recommendation is when the parent joins, you have a parent meeting, you explain all this to them and say these are the things so the parents know. And if you have to have a parent meeting twice a year because a scout is not doing as well as what you hope, maybe you have to have another parent meeting. Hey, here's where we're at, need your help. Because remember, any of these parents who get active may be your leader tomorrow. You always should be recruiting for your replacement, folks, unless you're going to do this forever like some of us. Really, you need to be looking for the future. The other thing is if you get that planning done and you lay out the year and you're going to say, I'm going to have this outing in 3 months because we're going to go to the Wisconsin, you can say, parents, I'm going to need some help. They may say, I can help with one event. I'll help drive. See what I'm saying? You keep the parents involved, you keep them going because you can't do it by yourself. If you do, you'll do it for a couple years and we probably will never see you again. Because burnout can be good. But that also goes back to the PAC committee, which has to understand this program too. Because the PAC meeting, the Cub Master, how many Cub Masters do I have here? Okay. Cub Masters need to understand the program too. Because it can affect how you structure your PAC meetings. Do you give time to the den to talk about their outing? Okay, that's the thing is most of these kids love to talk about it and what they've done or show off what they've done. And if they've been active, you're going to see it. The idea is they've seen with this in the trials that actually retention of Cub Scouts has gone up because of this new program. Because it's been tried at, Scott, how many councils did they do this at? 30? About 30 different councils, and they saw retention, keeping kids in scouting went up because of this new program. Well, and the reason I say that is for those in Colonial Virginia, you know, we're merging Heritage and James River District. We just looked at the Weeblos Scout transition, about 50%. About 50% is all that we're showing going from Weeblos to Boy Scouts.
Are they just not choosing to join Boy Scouts?
Don't know. Is it the program? Is it the Boy Scouts? Don't know. We've got to find out. That's what the Unit Commissioner Corps has got to go find out what's going on with this. Our goal this year in the council, and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, our goal this year is retention. Yeah. At the end of this year, we'd like as many scouts as we had at the end of 2014. That is our goal. Not lose anymore. Let's keep the same number. So if, say, we had 1,500 scouts at the end of 2014, we want 1,500 scouts at the end of 2015.
So you don't know how many you had at the end of 2014?
Well, I do it not in my head, but we can get that number. That's not a problem. But that's our goal, is to get the retention back, keep these kids in scouting. Okay, new character, Ethan. Any new promotion material you see for Boy Scouts can be Ethan. Remember, it's been characters throughout the years. Well, Ethan is the new thing that National came up with to be, this is our new thing. So when you get Boys Life and you see these things, you're going to see Ethan coming through the chain here. Now, out at that program update site, you can also download the graphics for Ethan, for the badges. If you really want to do those things, all those are out there for you to download. And there again, there's not a zip file to get them all. You got to go into each one separately and get what you want. So you can get graphics if you want to do programs, whatever. You can get that information and get it downloaded. And the new books are up here. We talked about them. Now, you're going to go back with the same. You can either get Spiral or you can get the regular one. Okay? What are these books for? How many Cub Scouts read these books? Overall, though. Who do you think they're probably really for? The parents. Let's be honest. But if you work it right, if the parents are working with them, they get this book out and say, hey, Johnny, it's right here in your book. Let's sit down and look at this. Okay? Because I know Boy Scouts have never read the Boy Scout handbook, but all their requirements are signed off in their Eagle Scouts. Why? Adults, when was the last time you read the leader guide cover to cover? I talk reality here, folks, is this is a resource, but this is where the kids should be getting the requirements signed off here in their books. I have been to Eagle Court of Honors where that Eagle Scout is so proud. Tiger, wolf, bear, weevils, bear badge sash, everything right there, his old Cub Scout uniform with the arrow points down to here because it's part of their history. So the books are available. Look how thick that Weebles one is now.
The bear one too.
Well, they're all a little bit bigger. They're easier reading. The font's a little bit bigger for us old people. Marie says nice because some of us don't understand that. And there's a lot more pictures in here than before. Like I just opened this one, which is interesting. This is one of the, this one is Curiosity, Intrigue, and Magical Mysteries. Requirement 6, spell your name using sign language and spell your name in Braille. Think about that. There's a lot of expansion in here that they're trying to get with. The other thing you will notice on the back of every book is the Scout Oath and Law.
Such a good idea.
Right on the back of every book. That's going to be the hardest for your kids that have been into the program now and they know the Cub Scout Oath and Law to go to the Boy Scout. You're going to have to work with them to get them to the new one. Okay? Pardon? Well, the other thing is, how many of you have den chiefs with your den? Boy, there's a thing that can help you with those kids. What are you doing for the gathering? Maybe that den chief, we can go to Scout Oath and Law with them to start getting them there when you're getting ready for your meeting. Use your resources. If you don't have a den chief, find one. It's a good resource for you. Okay? The other thing it does for the Boy Scout is it's a leadership position for him to advance in rank also. Now, some people say, well, my older son is a Boy Scout and I want him to be my den chief. Is there anything wrong with that? No. But I just caution you. Because how do we treat our kids? Either we're stronger with our own, right? Because I've been a scoutmaster and my son's been in the troop. We expect more of our own kids than we do of some others sometimes. So I just caution you with that, is just make sure that you don't expect, if your other son is a den chief, you don't expect more of him than you would from a different scout who was your den chief. That's all. The thing about it is, if you have den chiefs, you may need to get them these resources so they can start looking at what's going on with the new program so they can have an understanding so they can help you run it. Because really, we're not doing anything to the den chiefs. Den chief training is not changing to talk about the specifics of the program. It's only talking about their role and what they need to do to help you. So you need to work with that den chief to make sure he's there to help you. Okay. The other thing, if you didn't see, how many got their latest scouting magazine? They talk about the program in here, another resource. If you don't get the scouting magazine, you can go out online and they put it out there at the national website. The scouting is out there. You can get it out there to read these articles. Let's see. This is something else I got. Out there at that website, there's also how to transition your pack to the new Cub Scout program. This is out there at that program updates where you can get that if you've got any questions. You can get a copy, and it'll talk about these very things we talked about today. Let me just look through here real quick. The adventures focus on learning by doing instead of learning by listening. Well, I don't know how many of us in the old days used to sit there and lecture our kids about how we do this and how we do that. I'll raise my hand. I used to do that at some den meetings, but how long is their attention span? About that long. So they're trying to get with that. Now, the other thing is, for any of you that, how do I want to say this? They have the old academic belt loops and like that. They lose them, and you want to get replacements. You're going to end up looking at eBay eventually. Because National, when stock is gone, stock is going to be gone, folks. Just warn you right now. If there's replacements that you want to get, you need to start looking for them now. Because those things are going to disappear. Any business will know once you don't carry anything anymore, you get rid of the inventory and you don't replace it. We got questions right now. The old training knots, for some of the old training awards we had. The only place you can get them on is eBay now because National doesn't make them anymore. So just think about that with these kids is, if you've got anything from the old program you think you want, you need to try to get it now because it's going to go away. Because the worst thing is I hate to look in a boy's eye and say, sorry, I can't give that to you. That hurts me more than anything. Any questions on the new program? Any concerns with the new program? Scott, did you want to add anything while you were sitting in the back? Or?
Sorry, I got here late. Want to just start off with thanking each of you all for being here. This is a huge move in Cub Scout. I mean, they've basically taken the old Cub Scout program, been looking at it for years with a lot of volunteers, a lot of folks from the national office, and they revamped the entire thing. This is more than what they did just a few years ago with some new requirements and new handbooks and stuff. This is a total redo of Cub Scout because they've seen over the years that Cub Scout retention has been slipping. The number one way to get Boy Scouts and Boy Scouts is to engage them and keep them through Cub Scout. So I want to thank you for your commitment as a leader to deliver a program to Scouts. I want to thank you for your commitment as a leader to be here today to learn about this new opportunity we have. I'm like most folks, I can carry this around all the time. It's on all the time. If the battery dies, I don't know what to do. I get a lot of my news from this. And the other day I saw an article on Facebook that was talking about the number one reason kids quit sports. What's the number one reason kids quit sports? Loss of interest because what happened? It's not fun anymore. That's the number one reason. We've heard it for years in Cub Scouting.
Yep.
That Scouts drop out of Cub Scouting is because it's not fun anymore. And this new program is trying to drive fun back into the program year-round. Fun equals retention. If our Scouts have a fun time with the program, if you have a fun time with the program, you're going to stick around with it. You're not going to get that leader burnout. You're going to have fun. Your kids are going to have fun, and everybody's going to see that in how you interact with the pack and when you go out in the community. Just a few other things that have come up to my attention through the past. I get my information on the program update from the same place you all do. I get it from the program updates page. I go there about once every 2 weeks to see what's new. There's a few websites that I go to regularly on the scouting website to see what's new. One is the NCAT page for our camp inspection stuff. So I got to make sure that we're good there. But the program updates page I go to about once every 2 weeks just to see what's new, to see the new artwork, to see the new downloads, to find the Cub Master pack guides. I saw on Facebook somebody said, well, are we going to get this in a book to buy? And I thought, well, that's backwards. They're free. You can download all of 15, all of 16 in the first half of 2017. We're all there as a Cub Master for you to download right now. I've got them on my computer. Okay. Another question I had come out was the old belt loops. For Scouts we have stopped ordering a bunch of the old belt loops in our store, but we know that there's Scouts I think there's one soccer belt loop in our store right now. Soccer seasons are getting ready to end. So if you have Scouts that are earning the old belt loops in the current program, they're not old yet, they're still current for 20 days.
Yeah.
We can get those for you as long as National has them, and they're going to have them for a while. I mean, they got a bunch of them. So we can get those. If we don't have something you need as far as belt loops go, or the pins, let our store clerk know. We'll get them. We'll special order them for you. Just ask you to prepay for them so we don't get stuck with them. But we can get them for you as long as National has them. Okay. The stockpile. I was a Cub Master back in North Carolina. We had our stockpile of belt loops. I've been asked, well, what do we do with all these belt loops? My thing is it may be an old program, but the boys, if you still have them, let them earn them.
Yeah.
Let them earn them. You've got the requirements, right? Again, on my computer, I've got the PDF of all the belt loop requirements, except for archery and BBs, because those aren't out that I found online. But you've got the requirements. So if you've got 6 badminton belt loops, let the boys earn them. You pack has bought them, it doesn't mean that they can't earn them. They can still earn them. They're going to fit on the belt. That's a great way to keep them engaged. Now, you got to realize that if you have 6 and you have 7 boys taken, you may have a problem. But at least in the short term, we can get some more of those if you run out. But let them earn them. Because, like I said, every pack has that stockpile of old belt loops, right? Our pack had them. Okay? We even had them, extra
Rank advantages
too. The new belt loops, everywhere you read in the new program, it talks about the new belt loops being immediate recognition. And I would encourage you to do that. I would encourage you, they're going away with the progress toward ranks for all the ranks for tigers, wolves, bears. They're going away with the compass points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the gold and silver compass point things. Okay, the new belt loops are meant to be immediate recognition. Okay, and again, I think there's a PDF of that on the program updates page that talks about the new recognition there's a difference between recognition items and advancement items. Okay, the advancement items are your bobcat, your tiger, your wolf, your bear, your weeblo, your arrow blight. Those are advancement items. You have to fill out an advancement report to get an advancement item. Recognition items are different. The belt loops are recognition items. So they heavily encourage you to give those when the boy earns them. Meaning that at the end of the dead meeting, if the boys have earned them, have them ready. And give them
Not
to
even like wait till the next pack meeting.
No.
immediately when the boys earn them. At the end of the dead meeting, give them. Now that, for some packs, is going to be a major culture change. Okay?
Can I say something on that too? You said wait till the PAC meeting?
Yeah.
Give it at the den meeting doesn't mean you still can't recognize them at the PAC meeting also, that they earned it this month.
Yeah. You can still recognize the boys for earning what they. The other thing that they talk about in those pack meeting guides, Club Masters, is that pack meetings should be in one place it says no more than an hour, in another place it says no more than an hour and a half. Siblings, they don't want to be there more than an hour and a half. After 90 minutes of whatever you're doing in a pack meeting, siblings want to go home. And they'll tell you that, okay? As you try to do that immediate recognition, it's okay that all the boys don't get something at the pack meeting. You can still recognize them, but every boy doesn't have to get something at the pack meeting. That's just my opinion. But the pack meetings that are 3 hours long, we need to work on cutting them down. And by giving some of those recognition items at the den meeting immediately, it reduces your packing time, but it also gives that boy the immediate recognition to come back and get more, as opposed to wait. No boys want to wait for getting what they've earned. Even if it's the next meeting, they don't want to wait. Give it to them right then. Again, the last thing is the guidebooks. These guidebooks are awesome. I've had samples of these things for over a year. Okay, I got samples of them over a year ago. Again, I would highly encourage you to use those resources. The den meeting, the den leader guides, the pack Cub Master guide, use them. It lays everything out. It's not a lot different than the book that we have right now, the pack and den resource guide. But we have to use those resources. It lays what Nationals heard from leaders was, just tell me what you want me to do. Don't make me go out to 7 different websites and all this stuff. Parents don't have time for that planning now. They don't. They need everything right there. And like Dennis said, if you can give them that book and say, this is our pack's copy of this book, when you get done with it, give it back to us so we can recycle it. But please use it. Because there's been a lot of thought put into it so that meetings are fun, keeps kids engaged, and it's all right there. But it's only good if we use the resource we have.
Another note, I just saw it here. BSA will also offer through Amazon.com digital copies of all den leader guides. So if you've got an iPad or something like that, they're going to offer, you can buy them through Amazon.com too to get a version.
Any questions that I can answer that Dennis hadn't already answered?
Den chief training.
Yes.
Is there any thought being given to including discussing this new program with den chief training? Since you're going to have a bunch of Boy Scouts who have grown up in the old program,
I've
not
seen,
as den chiefs. And
I've seen no talk on changing den chief training at this time. I mean, I haven't heard anything national. I haven't heard any studies or anything. Because remember, den chief training is basically to give that boy the leadership. He's still going to have to get the book and work with the den leader to figure out what it is you want him to do. This is a leadership position for them. So den chief training is designed to tell him how to be a den chief and lead other youth.
he's going to be walking up to the den leader with the old program in his head.
So it's going to. That's why I said earlier, it's going to take the work of you working with your den chiefs to get them ready for this new program. But the thing about it is the activities they did as a wolf, they'll just be doing maybe some different activities as a wolf now. It's just a matter of what do you have your den chief doing? Is he there just to assist you, do the opening, the cheers, things like that? Or is he teaching the program? How are you using the den chief? It's just like you. If you're going to teach something new, you're going to go learn it. If you expect that den chief to teach something new, you need to give him the opportunity to go learn it so he can teach it to the scouts.
I hear you, Des, but my thought is that it would take less than 30 minutes to the den chief training program for the next couple of years.
I've seen no movement from national on that today. That's all I can tell you. In fact, the den chief training we're doing today has nothing in it on the new program.
Will it be offered again?
What we're going to do is we're probably not going to offer den chief training here in May anymore. When den chief training is in the fall, when the troops get started, packs get restarted, that's when the boys need the training. Now they've already been through a whole year of den chief. It's kind of late to do the training. So the next one will be sometime in the fall. Now, if any of you have any questions, go to that www.scouting.org/program updates and start there. They got question and answers they got. If you get a question, I had one individual that got these early things and he says, man, I got questions. What do I do? So he went off to National and said, National, I got a question. One of them was he had a question about help in, with bear, you got to help cook. What does that mean? National came back and said, does not necessarily mean to be hovering over the cook fire or stove, helping can prepare the food to be cooked. Another question was about the geocaching and GPS. How do we do that? National came back and said, most council camps have GPS in their inventory and allow units to borrow them. This requirement is a prelude to the geocaching merit badge. A cup pack that does not have access to GPS or smartphone might consider contacting a Boy Scout troop to help with this requirement. So if you get a hold of them, National does try to respond to questions because they know there's a lot of questions on this new program. Has anybody written documentation? You think you've got it straight, but isn't there always somebody comes back with, well, what if? National goes through the same thing. They're willing to help clarify this, so don't be afraid to ask the question. If you want to contact any of us, contact us. We might say, don't have the answer, but we'll try to get it for you. Because we're learning a new program just like you're learning a new program. Next year, maybe we need to sit down with the lessons learned and say, hey, what did we learn from the new program? Because National is going to be asking throughout the years, how is it working? And ask for feedback to make sure the program is succeeding where they want it to. Any other questions? How many feel better after coming here today or it's, okay. I'm not looking for me. I want to make sure. My goal is I want you to be comfortable putting on a new program so these kids have fun. That's what it's about, is the kids having fun. Now, the hardest part is now you've got to go back to your pack leadership and through all that and help implement this program in your units and prepare for it. I see some head shaking. But actually, it's not bad because how many are going to start with how many had tiger leaders this year that are wolf leaders next year? So they really haven't probably seen the wolf book, right? So now, you're just going to give them this. And you give them the leader book, they've got it. So the old leaders going to the new program should not be that difficult. It should actually be seamless for you to get there. Hopefully. Because like I said, any pack that gets a hey, I'm glad you're a tiger leader, you want to know what to do, man. Now here's a whole year worth of programs. Here's kind of where we're going. Follow this and it can help you. How many remember the old Cub Scout training where the den leader opens the door and all screaming kids are going, I don't know what I got myself into. Well, the other thing is, Cub Scout leader-specific training is changing. Remember how we had all the history and stuff? The den leader training now, you take den leader training, you're trained for tiger, wolf, bear, and weevil. One session. And what it does, it takes you through a whole den meeting. You have the gathering, you have the pre-opening, it takes you through every step, and that's what you get in the training, because that's what most den leaders want. I don't care about all the history. Tell me what I got to do to run my den. No, the new online training is supposed to be out roughly end of June, I think was the last message I saw. We did not have time to change the Cub Leader specific we're doing today because we just got the new syllabus in April. So, yeah, I mean, it just came out in April. So we're trying, no PowerPoint slides, no nothing. But with this new program, it should not be PowerPoint. It's putting you in a den and you running a den meeting. That's what it's about. So they're the training. Now, if somebody is already trained, but you don't think they really understand, doesn't mean they can't get more training to see how the new program works. If the new online training comes out, encourage them to go take it to find out what is different. I would encourage you to work with your PAC committee and say, PAC committee, I'd like you to go take this new training so you understand the new program. The more understanding we have, the better the program's going to be. And the more the kids are going to have fun. The biggest thing I like is with all the stuff going away, the cost should come down for the units a little bit too. Any other questions? Oh, boy, this was an easy crowd, Scott. I don't know if I want to do this again. Well, thank you all for coming, taking time. I'm here. If you got any questions, come see me. We'll try to work with it. If you got anything through the year, get a hold of us. If you don't know how to get a hold of me, all you do is come to the scout office. I always have a second home there. They can get hold of me, and we'll try to figure this out and how to get there. Okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And these books are up here if you want to look through them. Now, the only thing I want to mention is the Leader How-To book is going to change too, but National's not going to do it so long the old versions are gone, but they're not going to change much of the inside. They're just going to change the cover to match up with the new theme and everything.
Which one is that? The Leader
How-To.
So it's going to be the same?
Basically, most everything in it's going to be the same. The only thing that changed is it's already got the new ceremonies book out, but the ceremonies are basically the same.
Okay.
But the other book that came out is the Leader book. This is all the general information to scouting, which is no longer the Leader's book. This is more of the line of a resource of administration. Okay? May I mention some activities. This is more of your admin type stuff, folks.
I do have a question. I went to cover re-application, and I know that some of the packs that were out there were actually doing the Boy Scout salute, while some of us were still doing the Cub Scout salute. This new program, is that going to change also? Now that we're doing the Boy Scout oath? Or is it still?
The sign, the handshake are all staying Cub Scout.
Okay.
Now, units are run by leaders, volunteers. Now, with Weeblos at the cover doing that, maybe preparing them for Boy Scouts, salutes like that.
No, they just are confused because they thought that.
But think about it. We are putting forth the program to these kids, so we want to make sure we're giving them the right program. And that comes through training, folks. We've got to get our leaders trained. If they get trained and understand the program, that's when it comes across and we're doing it all the same. But no, the salute is not changing. Yep, it's in the book. The sign and everything's still the same. And that handshake that's hard to do for the Cub Scouts is still there, folks. Yeah, everybody laughs about that, but that is a hard handshake to do, isn't it? No, it's not. It's still